What's up, y'all? It's your boy Niner Faithful.
What's up, everybody? Adam from 49ers Insiders. How's everybody doing?
And we hope everyone had a blessed week. Today, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into a little bit of we started D-lineman, so we're going to go ahead and get into that. We
Breaking
also
news.
are going
I need a little more excitement than that, all right? It's democracy right here.
So I know we finally got something new to talk about. Also, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a little review. I went ahead and did some research. I remember a couple weeks ago, we went ahead and talked about how I was going to do some research about comparing us to Denver as far as here. You know what? We're just going to do it like this week. All right, we're good. So
right in the floor.
We got a little bit a little technical difficulties. But yeah, we're going to basically go over and kind of dig in. And I found out some pretty interesting information through my research. And then we're going to wrap it up with Adam's got a 53-man prediction pre-draft, 53-man roster. Is it 53-man roster?
I did a little pre-draft projection just so that way everybody can get like a feel essentially of, how the personnel for each, grouping and whatnot is kind of looking. That way you're kind of prepared and maybe get a better idea of what's going to possibly go on draft day.
Yeah, and then we'll get into a little bit of draft news. Not much news there. I do have there is an article from Niners Wire that I kind of want to dig into that I also want to get Adam's opinion on. I literally, when I told you that I was just updating some things, that's what I was updating.
Right. Which one are we? Which one are we possibly going to review? Which article that is?
It's apparently the DeMarcus Lawrence situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some people threw out there like, hey, if the Dallas calls and offers this and that, possibly them moving up to number 2, and they give us Lawrence and maybe a package around centered around or filled in with other things, but obviously that's completely off the table. And needless to say, we're not sad over it.
Yeah, but so before we get started today, I have to remind everybody that we got our new YouTube. We're trying to get YouTube monetized. And so we have our contest for 4,200 watch minutes and 1,200 subscribers. Unfortunately, I was fed some wrong information. Levi Stadium does not do tours. Apparently, they're no longer doing public tours. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and the winner of this contest, we will still be able to go to the Niner Museum. We're going to take you to a game and probably row tailgate, but we're going to go ahead and throw in some swag. We'll go ahead and we'll have you fitted out for the game that you choose to attend as soon as we hit those thresholds. Obviously, go check out our San Francisco Legends Tackle on ALS. My friends at 1,000+ videos put together a sick DVD, $20 plus shipping and handling. And all the money goes to ALS research. So obviously Dwight's still on our hearts. So I think that, that's something that we should all support. Shop Niner Faithful Radio for your officially nicest Niner gear from the Niner Shop, Amazon, Fanatics, Target, eBay.
So go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Join our Patriot program for as little as $1 a month. You can go ahead and participate in things like joining Adam and I for a segment on Niner Faithful Radio. We send the show links to you directly and much, much more. Make sure to check out SeatGiant.com. Use the promo code Niner Faithful Radio, all one word, to save on all ticket purchases. That's concert, theater, sporting events, whatever they sell on there, you save on all of them. Like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell button so every time we go live, you don't miss a video. And read our blogs on Nothing But Niners and Sports Elite. All the links for everything will be in the show description on our website, NinerFaithfulRadio.com. All right, so go ahead, bro. What were you going to say?
Awesome. I was just going to say you were talking merchandise and everything like that. What is I don't think I've heard your official stance on the 49ers new 2019 NFL Draft hat.
Ooh.
On the spot, sir. On the spot. Let's start off this way. Everything on social media has been pretty much 5%, 2 thumbs down. And
so I'll put you this way. We also, it seems so funny to say it like this now, but We have it available at Niner Faithful Radio Shop.
30-year-old guys, just
yeah. So we have it available at Niner Faithful Radio Shop. So for those who do want to get it, we do have all your draft gear available on the shop right now. Like you can literally go there right now and go pick it up. My personal opinion, okay. I'm trying to be careful because I don't want people to talk people out buying the hat, but
no.
The tag's really cool. I really like the tag, how they have the California flag and it has a SF logo. I like the tag. The hat, I could get more out of the hat.
Is it what playing for you, or what do you mean?
It's just, I like the concept. I like the concept that they try to make it the state flag. Like, to me, that's cool.
Yeah.
And it's obviously the red and white with the Niners and everything like that. It's just, to me, I don't know. Like, am I going to buy it?
Let me ask you this. Does the little star throw you off?
Maybe that's it.
Like, honestly, if you take that off, are people a lot happier with the hats? In my honest opinion, I think there would be a lot more positive response to it. I think the star, some of the macho-ness inside of certain men, and you know what I mean? It's all good if you're, like a straight, smooth, just give me a little salt on my butter on the toast and that's it. Kind of guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all I want. I don't want any fancy deals, fancy spreads. Give me the OG stuff. In my opinion, I think if you have on a nice outfit, you're wearing your 49ers red jersey, maybe you got some white shoes or something like that, I think the hat will be relatively chill. And if it really bugs you, wear that shit backwards.
Right. There you go. Hey, you know what? I will admit, I like the 100-year logo on the fitted ones. They have it on the fitted right here, and then on the snapback like I'm wearing, they have it right here on the snap. That looks cool.
It's not the 100-year anniversary. Is it the 100-year anniversary of the NFL or the 49ers?
NFL.
I was like, what?
Yeah. It's the 100-year anniversary of the NFL.
Yeah.
So that looks pretty cool.
I think just a star throws people off a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that part looks a little cheesy. But if you see some of the other ones out there, oh my God, there's a lot of soft ones out there.
So I'm a part of many Facebook groups, and one of them has a chat where people in the group, admins or whatever, chat to each other. And so I just threw out my Fanatics link to anybody. By the way, we're also going to have Sharks merchandise, things like that. Not available on NinerFaithfulRadioShop.com. But if you're interested in, baseball, football, hockey, other things, go ahead and message me. We can get those links together. Yeah. And I'm in the process of opening a separate site to sell just Amazon products, just eBay products, just, what I'm saying, those type of things. But anyway, I went ahead and threw out the link to my Fanatics one where, people could just buy whatever draft hats they wanted. And the feedback I got from the group, and this is all NFL fans, there's at least one fan of every team in this group. And it was all just, everybody was just, I didn't find one single person that was like, yeah, I'm totally going to buy this hat right now. Now, will I personally buy it? I'll put it to you this way. I might not buy it.
I'm not a big merchandise kind of guy in general.
I'm not either.
I'm a 49ers homer through and through. I'm 49ers faithful to the end, but never been a big merchandise kind of guy. I don't know. Part of it is just getting kind of older. Like you're just not going to wear sports shit around as much. That's just my personal stance. If you do, that's what you do your thing. Like I noticed like you rep a lot and like, you know what I mean? It's just your personal mantra.
See, I've gotten, and see, this is why I love this show. Cause doing this show is I met people who have all different backgrounds. People, I have people that literally like myself, I'm not so much anymore, but I do have I used to be socks, boxers, literally everything, sweats, whole 9 yards. Now, I feel less bad about not wearing Niners sweats anymore because I do wear Levi's. I specifically wear, and I actually am trying to. So, by the way, anybody who does custom gear, get at me. I'm trying to find a person to do some custom gear where I can get like Levi's on a pair of Levi's or something. Get at me and we can work some things out.
There's always your friendly neighborhood indoor swap meet probably, huh?
Yep. So,
Honestly speaking, about the hats, you know what I did? If you honestly, like when you first see the hats and you see some of the backlash, like that's one thing. I don't want to go too crazy into this. That we don't take up much of the show, but I suggest to everybody, all the 49er fans, honestly, take a peek at all 32 of the NFL drafted hats. Yeah. And I guarantee you, after you see some of the other ones, you'll step ours a lot more.
Yeah, yeah. And this is my thing about it. Is somebody I don't want to say I won't buy it. I mean, hey, if I go outside and I $60, am I going to go spend $30 on a Niner hat? Sure.
Well, a lot of people collect stuff. Like Nick, for example, from Nothing But Niner said, like, hey, I don't want to put him on blast like that. He doesn't absolutely super love it, but he says, he's a collector and I'm sure maybe he'll rock it maybe once.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I know Nick. If Nick's not watching right now, he's going to watch later, or at least listen to the podcast.
We're all in a group chat, so that's fun.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway. But anyway, so basically, I'll put it to you this way. Would I get it? Yeah. Would I rock it? Sure. Is it my favorite draft hat in the entire world? No. So I wanted to go ahead and I do not – do you know how to pronounce our new D lineman's name? I am not going to even attempt.
Demontre.
Demontre?
Yeah. Just how it looks.
Demontre. That's what I thought.
Demontre Moore, yes. So played for my local San Diego Fleet, 6'4", 260. That honestly, that's like the number that like you see, and I think that's like kind of old from the NFL because it looks like he's gained a few pounds straight up. Probably like towards the 265, 270 range. But needless to say, had like 7-8 sacks. I've seen a few different tweets having different stat lines for sacks for some reason, but 7-8. I've seen like 39 to 41 pressures in 8 games with the Fleet. Yeah, they were 3-5 before that all went to crap. That's a different story.
I didn't watch a single game.
But low risk. I don't know. I don't think you can say high reward either. But it seems like he's gonna battle with Dakota Watson and Peter Taumoipinu, if I can pronounce that one right. And that's pretty much that before the draft, honestly.
I think that I honestly think it's a camp body. I mean, I don't want to say that as to say that to disrespect the brother and to say that he has absolutely no shot to make the team. No.
I hope he hears it.
I don't think the Niners. We don't sign people just to sign people. Kyle Shanahan talks.
What do you mean?
What I'm saying is Shanahan talks about how every move they make, they think that they get better as a football team. They think that he can take somebody's job. Now that's up to them via effort, injury. Some basically part of that you do control by your effort and how you practice. But I mean, look at Jonathan Cooper. I was walking thinking Jonathan Cooper was going to be our starting guard.
Oh, same here.
Didn't even make the 53. Now, part of that's why. Exactly. He's going to get healthy.
Significant factor. I think the 49ers thought he was going to be a little more ready.
I do too. Yeah, I do too. So I'm not saying that the brother can't make the team, but I would think
if this was last year, it'd be a little different story.
Yeah. I think can Peter T this is how I'm looking at it. Can Peter T make it to the practice squad again this year? If he can, then he has a higher shot. Honestly, if he's not, if he's not, then basically to me is about whether Peter T can be sent down to the practice squad at the end of the preseason, or it's him versus Dakota Watson.
I think he also probably needs like another year of seasoning, especially since we're not going to rely on him. Even though
we're not.
Forget he's 24 now.
Oh, he looks. Me and Nick bumped into him at the home opener. We went over to have some drinks at the Hilton right by Levi's.
Okay, he was over.
And he looked. I mean, he's a big dude and everything, but he looked so young. I was just like, bro, you're a baby.
I don't know if we've even talked about him on the show, to be honest. He literally has only known about not playing football, known about football for like 7 years now.
Yeah.
It can sound like a little more so, but when you just barely find out about something, they literally had to do Madden to learn the sport. I think, like I said, I think 6-7 years.
And you're going against people who have literally been playing football since they could probably walk.
Right. So
you know what I'm saying? So
parts and all that, but his skill set and his explosiveness slash athletic ability is definitely there. He just probably needs another year of seasoning. And you brought a practice squad. In my opinion, that sounds kind of risky. Not saying that he's going to be God's gift to earth, but let's not forget about you old injury reserve type of special. You find a little something wrong with that.
Yeah, right. Oh, seriously, ankle. We'll go ahead and bring it back to Niner Faithful Radio's first year when we say a little Joe Williams ankle injury. Oh, but seriously, your ankle's way worse than what we thought it was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everybody and their mom knew low-key that was like a type of deal. Like, yo, take a year, get your mind right, get your body right, learn the offense. And everybody thinks that you could just come in and pick up a playbook and run away with everything. It's like –
especially Kyle Shanahan's.
Honestly speaking, that's honestly what you only expect. I mean, let's be real. Even a late first-round pick, sometimes you can't even – depending on the position, of course, but you can't even rely on a late first-round pick to honestly come in and be a plug-and-play starter in this league.
No, I would say not out of the top 10.
And especially defense is a little easier. For example, if you're playing, middle linebacker in our scheme, our defensive scheme is not the hardest.
Let's just say Bosa or Williams.
Man, not everybody has the same IQ, and everybody thinks they do.
Well, what I'm saying is it's a lot easier if you're Nick Bosa and you sit there and you say, hey, you see that person with the football right there? Go get him. It's a lot easier than –
I think defensive end spot is I'm not going to say not the hardest, but you got to contain the edge. And
go get the quarterback.
And be prepared if there's an outlet or something like that. Well, like I said, it depends on the responsibilities. I was going to say an outlet for like the running back or something like that to take off. Defensive ends primary responsibility unless the weak side linebacker spot is doing something else or whatever. So at the end of the day,
on the call,
but if not, you rush. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
And don't forget we draft Nick Bosa. His brother Joey has played in the same scheme with the Chargers this whole time too. So he can easily pick his brother's brain about the same thing he's going to be doing too.
So now to get on the whole Denver situation, the getting into athletic trainer, I went ahead and did some research.
Oh yeah.
And every year, Denver. Okay, so I'm gonna basically read it like this. 2018, we had 21 players on injury reserve. The Broncos had 20. 17, we had 24. They had 18. 16, they had 14. We had 14. They had 12. And 15, they had 16 and 11. I wasn't able to find out players on IR for 14. Now, to me, that might be. Now, this is not to say that because for all you know, if you like, for example, if they lose Von Miller, it doesn't matter if they're the only player on IR with Von Miller. That's just to see an overall health of the team.
Yeah.
Now, all the links, of course, will be this in the show note, but this is the one I found interesting. There was a site. I couldn't find it for 2018. So we don't have Jimmy and Jet and those type of, statistics. But in 17, which we'll just specifically look at 17, we won't go back that far, but that'll be in the show notes. We lost 91.6 games due to injury, players total. If you add up all our injuries and all the games that players missed, it averaged out to 91.6.
Hold on, that's right. Are you saying for 2017? That's the grand total of games missed.
Yeah,
so total games missed. It could be player X, he missed 7 games, and player B missed 8 games. That's 15 already, right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
From what I understood, the link to the article will be in the show notes.
That's so crazy.
I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and send it to you. And they're doing they do a better way of explaining how they exactly come up with that formula. I know that losing a starter is worth more, and it gets into a little detail.
Right.
But basically,
context matters.
The Broncos were ranked 15th. They had 65.9, and then in 2016 we had 98.8. We ranked 24th. They ranked 60. They had 60.9, ranked 10th. And in 2014, they were the best team in the league and only had 36.9 games missed due to injury. So to me, what that tells me is, if we specifically look at 17 with Ray Wright, not knowing the 2018 statistics, apparently you have to have a
new regime. So technically speaking, not saying 2016, 2015, 2014 don't matter.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm more looking at the Broncos one because
that's awesome.
Our new head trainer was with the organization.
Right.
for 14, 15, 16, 17. But if you look at Ray Wright, that tells me, to go 24 to 18, and then you also have 91.6 to 65.9. That tells me that they're doing something right in Denver.
At least better than we are. And something else to kind of keep in mind, I just thought about, and I'm like, well, people also don't forget about the playoff runs and what kind of toll that kind of take on a player, because everything gets delayed. Recoveries, like, obviously prolonged and whatnot. So, like, everything has to be sped up. And I think that's what – so you got to remember, the Broncos just want to – it sounds crazy to say. Last time we were in 2012, they just won the Super Bowl – was it like 4 years ago? It's already been 5 years.
It was 2015. It was Super Bowl 50.
Okay, so it was 2015.
Okay. Yeah, 2015.
Perfect. So just 3 seasons ago.
2014 season, 2015 Super Bowl.
Right. And last year they ended up taking the most of it. Like Emmanuel Sanders got hurt, Chris Harris was hurt. Just kind of
the extra football games over the course of however many years, take the toll on the body. It's just that's sports,
right?
That's why you'll see a player that's on a garbage team play 20 years. While you'll see a team on a perennial playoff contender maybe play 8.
Straight up, and it's not like basketball, and it can take a toll on basketball. At least basketball is like it's a physical sport, but we all know it's nowhere near the NFL level, and you straight up need time, obviously, in the NFL for your body to recover and get it right, and that'll definitely play a role.
So that's, to me, that the only reason I bring this up is welcome to basically almost 3 weeks before the draft, where we have nothing new to talk about,
and 18 days away, 18 days,
and also, what I like to note is that I think I'm looking at this as a overall regime thing. That Shanahan and Lynch saw that the training staff wasn't working and fixed the issue. Now, I think this might be.
You don't think it's all from the fans?
I think this time. No,
I'm just kidding.
I don't. Because I know. But no, this is, to me, is Jimmy G cool? Jimmy G cool, I'm not so worried about, because I don't think that I've talked to a person who's a personal trainer, and I trust their professional opinion. They're a general manager of a gym and opinion, and he said there's nothing that we could have done as a trainer. Maybe you could strengthen muscles more, but there's nothing you could do about that. Jimmy Ward, is always breaking bones in there. Well, that tells me he's just, he's physical. And there's actually a video I shared of him taking on a Sheecock. And this is a physical hit.
Dude.
And so that goes to show you that, the dude.
And sometimes that can be an issue of literally being over physical, especially if you got a smaller frame, like Jimmy Ward's, for example. But at the same time, it's like that's how you play football, and that's what it really takes, honestly, to be a good player. But if that's kind of putting you on IR, it's a tough situation.
Well, exactly, and that was, not to get too much in the past, but that was one of the main issues with Reuben Foster. Is he just going to out his body? He's just gonna,
style, but they literally said want him to dial it down.
Yeah, it's the point is, those type of things are what you're gonna love about a player. That's what coaches love. I'm gonna get in there. I'm gonna throw my body around. But unfortunately, that's serious issues. These, when you throw your shoulder, I'll see if I can share the video in the show notes. But you see it. And you could
was running and dragging his shoulder at the same time.
No. I was talking about Jimmy Ward. The hit on Jimmy Ward on it was, I want to say it had to be
like against the Seahawks.
Yeah. It's on my Facebook. I'll retweet Twitter as well.
Pretty much just he squares up and drives right.
And you just see, and he lifts. I mean, and
it's like
you do that over and over and over and over. That's going to take a toll. These people aren't. They're not robots, bro. These are human beings.
And honestly speaking, like while Jimmy Ward is on the subject, because I mean that's an area of concern for a lot of 49er fans. Mm-hmm. We heard a lot of backlash. Why didn't we go after Earl Thomas, harder and the whole whoop-de-whoop? And honestly speaking, it could be a very fun battle for I was going to say the second consecutive year, but it's been pretty much going to be 2 out of 3 years because remember last year. Ward was moved back to corner as Sherman because he was coming back from Achilles and whatnot. Anyways, what I'm getting with that is, let's just say Jimmy Ward wins the battle against Colbert. I don't think you have to handcuff him. Like, once again, life is not a sprint. Sports are not a sprint. It's a marathon race. But at the same time, maybe, the staff says, let's just say Ward edges out Colbert by a little bit. Yeah. They'd why handcuff him? Because if he does get hurt, so be it. And it'll be Colbert's opportunity now because the gap was already that small.
Yeah. I don't think it's they love Jimmy Ward, and to me, it's you can make the argument necessary about the regime, as far as bulky, that I don't think that Jimmy Ward's was on the team all those bulky years because he was a bulky pick. I think if there had been a coaching staff that was able to point out serious flaws in Jimmy Ward's game, I think they might have moved on.
And honestly speaking, how much of it if Jimmy Ward was a second-round pick, people forget he was technically the 31st overall pick, right?
Yeah.
And all everybody seems to remember is first-round pick gets abused by Brandon Marshall for 3 touchdowns playing the slot in his rookie year. And I think that literally along with obviously a few injuries, has just made people completely shit on him, acting like he's a worthless bum, and the only reason why we bought us back is because we were that desperate. Everybody still picking up Trey Boston, who's an interesting name. It sounds cool. He has some experience in the scheme. He played for the Chargers just 2 years ago, but literally on paper, he's had 2 solid consecutive seasons. I want to say he even has a solid PFF grade.
Yeah,
gloves. But what I'm getting with that is everybody still wants Trey Boston. It's apparently the 49ers believe in Jimmy Ward compared to Trey Boston, who on back-to-back years, even though coming off of solid seasons, is pretty much on the streets, kind of wanting a job. And it seems like he's going to have to take another prove-it deal. He only signed for $2-3 million with the Cardinals last year, and just 2 years ago with the Chargers. And maybe that what hurts him is they thought he had a good year, essentially, pretty much because of the surrounding personnel. Right, they had good passers and all that. But he took a $2-3 million deal with the Cardinals last year, coming off of 4 interceptions. No, I want to say maybe 7 interceptions. That sounds like a lot. Let's just say 4 interceptions though, and he had 60 to 70 tackles or something like that, which isn't bad.
Not bad at all. I'll take that out of my corner right now.
They believe in more than somebody like Trey Boston, who on paper looks like he's maybe a capable starter.
Well, I think also what they feel is that what you also got to understand is when you bring in a free agent, you're not bringing in somebody that you know. And so a lot of football is because Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have stressed practicing the right way, and worth ethic and, all those type of things. And so they know Jimmy Ward's going to work hard. They know Jimmy Ward. You know what I'm saying? 100%. We don't know about Boston, or we don't know about Earl Thomas, and I don't want to get in the Earl Thomas thing. There's no point in it. I'm sorry, he's a Raven. I remember the day he signed with the Ravens. I remember texting you, Brad, saying I thought we were going to come on the show Sunday talking about how we got Odell Beckham and Earl Thomas. I really did.
Well, I don't understand how some people just hold on to that, and it's what do you think? The 49ers are just hey, we'll re-sign Ward. We'll just see what the hell happens. No.
Yeah, exactly.
The NFL draft is 18 days away. I'm sure we're going to target. I actually probably guarantee it. You know what? Fudge it. I'll go ahead and guarantee it. We're taking a free safety within the first 4 rounds. I'll just say that, in my opinion.
Well, okay, so then I think we pretty much covered the injury thing. I mean, I think it's an improvement. I think to wrap it up, essentially, I think he was suggested by – I don't think it's a coincidence he came from the Broncos organization. that's John Lynch and John Elway having that connection. What's the league? The league is a bunch about connections and just knowing, all these people, all these GMs have relationships and, all that.
That's what it takes for trades to work in a lot of the times and shit too. And everybody just wants to count that. And
exactly.
Everything has to be considered.
So to get in the draft, and then I guess we'll break in a couple positions before we get up out of here. But to get into the draft real quick, what you figure – my question that I got to you, what do you have as our needs in order?
Okay, so that's one of those things that have been up and down. You know what I mean? Like, once again, bring up free safety again. Everybody knows you need an impact free safety in this particular scheme that plays a lot of single high, which pretty much the free safety just back there chilling by himself as a center fielder. And it's his responsibility to play the run out of the field and do whatever. So to get back into the needs, I'm going to put him right now at this very moment. I'm going to put him out as obviously edge. So edge, I'm going to go offensive line now. Before I was like free safety, then probably offensive line / wide receiver. Like wide receiver and offensive line were like that close. Probably like that close.
Wow.
So I'm just thinking a little more trenches for the long haul. It's not Jimmy's coming back off of injury. That just sounds – it doesn't sound ludicrous. Like I get he's coming back from an injury, but it's like nobody – like you don't need to like worry about one hit is going to re-tear his ACL is where I'm kind of getting around to. But it really – like on top of the second round, that's usually like a money position where you can get a starter, especially at a guard. People – let's not forget that Weston Richburg had off-season surgeries. So Mike Person – this is like almost a perfect opportunity to maybe try to find a starting guard in the draft because Mike Person is going to be filling in at center. Honestly speaking, I looked it up the other day. I'm not thoroughly ready to give up on Josh Garnett. Like, let's just act like Josh Garnett came out in this year's draft. And let's act like he was 22, 23 years old. Let's just even act like sometimes there's 24-year-old rookies. He's 26. I think barely just turned 26. So not too old. He's gone through, obviously a couple scheme changes going back from Stanford and obviously getting drafted by Chip and now obviously with Shanahan. Sorry to get a little off topic. So he could be in play. We could easily not take an offensive lineman until like round 4. Maybe we don't take one to round 6, even though that sounds excessive for my taste.
Yeah.
So I got right now, sorry to get off subject, edge. I'm going to go offensive line, more so particularly offensive guard. Then I'm going to go wide receiver, then free safety. It used to be free safety, then wide receiver. I'm going wide receiver from the aspect of another playmaker added into like another. Let's just act like you're able to clone a Dante Pettis and involve him in 3 wide receiver sets with Marquise Goodwin. No disrespect, and I love the potential of guys like Kendrick Bourne, Richie James, Trent Taylor, and now Jordan Matthews. He's pretty intriguing too. Free safety once again. I feel solid, content about Jimmy Ward and Adrian Colbert battling that out. So I think once again, maybe we take somebody in the 4th round that needs a little seasoning for the year, and then he's ready to compete in 2020. So that's where I got my needs right now. I'm like, you know what? This is a perfect opportunity. Maybe you can, like I said, take a guard on top of the second that really has like in my latest mock draft I did through the Draft Network's little machine deal. I got Eric McCoy out of Texas A&M, and he has a lot of zone experience. So it sounds like a plug-and-play situation. They're like, hey, you can go ahead and pretty much start at right guard day 1. Obviously, if they believe in his ability more than Garnett, probably not. They'll probably put Josh Garnett there and then make McCoy essentially beat him out or push him out. But what I'm getting with that is it's going to be like an open spot as Mike Person's filling in. So that's that.
I mean, yeah. So my point where I brought this up is that I think if it's not a Bosa or Williams, if we're getting into the.
Let me ask you this: what percentage do you think of probability we trade down?
If the Cardinals take Murray.
I guess let's just go ahead and play. I
think 12.
Okay, I think 12 scenarios. If the Cardinals take Murray,
what
percentage do you think we trade down? 0, 10, 5?
I think like 12%. I think if somebody would have to offer, it's like 3 first rounds and a 5th, like just something.
You just have to do it.
Yeah. Like where we just have to do it, because to me, I think that now the argument, which by the way, I'm going to go ahead and announce it. This week, the last week, I do the poll to participate in the draft party. Okay. I got 2 more tickets to give away. We're going to give one away. I'm going to announce the winner. Yeah, anyway, we'll get into that in the outro. But basically, one of the last question I'm going to do is going to be Williams or Bosa. That's going to be the question, I think.
Of course, obviously. I thought you wouldn't talk about that right now. I was like, is it
No. We're not going to get into that right now. We'll go ahead and save that. If we decide, if we do a hangout on draft day, that's what we'll talk about draft day.
Right, sure.
But I'm going to announce that in the outro. But I think that there's just too much, because John Lynch just came out and said that, wow, we just got a special announcement. Just hit me up. Do me a favor. Send Nick the invite. Nick's going to be joining us.
All right, sounds good.
I just got a text from the group text. Sorry about that. I literally just got a text from Nick with nothing but Niners. So we're going to go ahead and get him on. Sorry about that, y'all. Adam.
Oh, where's just possibly throw another line into the mix to hear a little different perspective or hear a little different opinion on something. So it's always fun. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, this is for the 49ers faithful. We are 49ers faithful, so it's always more fun in games. Hey, the more the merrier, is my opinion.
Yeah, of course.
Agree or disagree. I mean, at the end of the day, people think hey, if you don't agree with me, I'm still gonna like your comment, even if I think you're completely ludicrous with what you're saying. I swear to God, like I am the liking king, even if I love your shit or I dislike you, to be honest, because I can always appreciate a different perspective on things.
Yeah, I don't get anybody that the thing. I'll respect people who have different opinions about me. I'm not going to sit there and say you're a fan because you have not a fan because you have a different opinion of me. The one thing I don't, he said via text. The one thing, just text it to the group chat. The one thing I won't tolerate is when people start calling people not fans. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, look. If you say that Tom Brady is better than Joe Montana, if you say that Tom Brady is better than Joe Montana, does that take away the fact that you've been a Niner fan for 30 years and watched every game and, have posters on your wall and all that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. No, that doesn't change that fact. Yeah. I think you're wrong. I will prove you wrong. But that doesn't change the fact that you're not a Niner fan just because you don't think that Joe Montana walks on water. Well, I mean, if you go to disrespect, Joe, that's a little different level. But, you just sit there, and like what I like to say personally, what I say is, look, I have physically watched his whole career. I'm not saying I watched every game, but I remember when Tom Brady was drafted. I remember watching the 2001 Super Bowl. I remember all that. He's the greatest quarterback I've ever laid my eyes on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I will admit that. But Joe's the GOAT. But anyway, getting to the point. So, all right. So, apparently, we'll make sure that we'll get Nick on next week.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, I'm off, and Friday.
I might double dip a little later, honestly. We'll see how that one goes.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. We might do a bonus content episode. We'll get it all worked out. Anyway, so basically, I think that my point is that I think it's Williams or Bosa. I think it's Williams or Bosa.
But I can't still help but think about with Quinnen Williams, and I get it. A lot of people are saying he's like, hey, I took a poll on it, and it seems like we talked about it on last week's show. Who's going to say pick Nick Bosa or Quinnen Williams, and talking a little fast. That way we can crunch in as much stuff as possible. What it comes down to is with Quinn, if you essentially take Quinnen Williams, you have to later scramble to find another edge rusher, in my opinion, unless you really want to trust Ronald Blair, who did a solid job, 5.5 sacks last year. Nothing to sneeze at with the lack of a partner on the other side. Let's just say that. It was pretty much Cassius Marsh for the majority of the time, but a lot of injuries, the whole whoop-de-whoop. But if you take Quinnen Williams, essentially you're shipping out, and I've been open to trading Arik Armstead. By this point, I'm like, especially we're talking about it with a lot of fans and everything like that, I'm like, you know what? Let's go ahead and hold on to him, and we'll have a three-headed monster defensive tackle, and him and Soli can rotate. They stay fresh, yada, yada. Maybe somebody goes down. Please, God, not. But we have a little further insurance. But you draft Quinnen Williams, you're essentially – I don't think you can trade Solomon Thomas right now, so you're essentially got to trade Arik Armstead. So that's pretty much like it. Kind of comes down to the bottom line. Another question that floats in my head: how did we know that Quinnen Williams is honestly going to be better than a 2019 Arik Armstead who just came off a breakout season?
You know what? We'll get into the breakdown of Bosa versus Williams. My idea is just that's essentially who I think it is at number 2. I mean, I think that's essentially, our options, because we're just, no matter what, we're not going to take Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
My thing about it is that what I'm looking in is a trade back scenario. Does edge at, let's say, 10 to 20, does edge become that number 1 priority?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
I said, does edge become that number 1 priority at, let's say, 10 to 20? When we have a DJ Metcalf. Or let's say,
are you talking in a trade down scenario right now?
Scenario, yeah, or even in the trade up scenario. Let's say at pick 31, AJ Brown sitting there. Just to throw a name out there. AJ Brown sitting out there.
But number two overall, we're still taking Nick Bosa in this scenario.
Yeah, essentially. Or we trade back. Let's say we trade back at 10. Think we can get Burns. Let's just say we trade back and think we can get Burns at 10. All of a sudden, Burns goes at 7. Let's just say Burns goes at 7. So then we trade back again. So then let's say we trade back again and say, okay, well then, just in a crazy scenario, you never know what happens.
Say this, the 49ers are not going to put themselves in a position. This isn't like year 1 of something, and you're like, you know what, we're just going to stockpile as much talent as we possibly can. We're not going to worry about if our number 1 guy – well, you can argue that could be a little stupid, but it seems like if the gaps are close enough and it was year 1, then maybe you stockpile a little more picks and kind of play the probabilities a little more. At this point, though, we need impact guys, and in my opinion, 99% surely they will not trade back and like kind of risk that, like, hey, our guy might not be there, and if so, that's cool. Well, maybe we'll trade down again.
I don't think so either.
This is a zero leeway, cannot screw this up situation, because we are lucky as balls to get into it, and it's not playing with house money. This is where you're like, I wanted to capitalize on this shit, and I want to make up for all the
Because I think that if we're in a position where I would even say within the next 2-3 drafts, we're back at number 2 and having this argument again. So people are going to get fired. Like, you know what I'm saying? If we're back here next year or 2 years from now, sitting at 2 and it wasn't because of a trade or whatever, some heads are going to roll.
Yeah.
Best believe. So
we don't have to worry about a situation like that, honestly speaking. I don't think
It's the greatest failure ever if we're back at number 2 next year, and it ain't because of some crazy trade.
I would put my life on it. There's no way in blue.
Yeah. I did put a lot of money down.
Say it all. I mean, maybe a more probability is like maybe
I'll put it this way,
year, because we finished 6th and 10 2 years ago and still managed to squeak out a 9th overall pick. Keep in mind, they had the same record. They got the 10th, but that's like something else to possibly talk about. But
I would say 10. I would say 10 to 20 range. I would say that we could be in the 10 to 20 range next year.
I get it. Like, here's the thing. I get it. A lot of people are like, hey, you're improving, but everybody else is kind of improving around the NFL too. But if you play the injury card, and honestly speaking, we know damn well that's true. And honestly speaking, that this stat forever holds in my head. Being tied for the second worst in the NFL in turnovers, I think with like 32. Could be wrong on that. Point is, we're the second worst in the NFL. That is huge in the NFL. When you're the second worst NFL, and then it turns out we lost 10 out of the 12 games. I'm sorry. Yeah, we finished one. We finished with 4 wins. We lose 10 out of the 12 games by an average of 8 points. You have all these people coming back from injured reserve. Yeah. You improve, you pawn that turnover margin and get it just reasonable. Add all the rest of the talent in and take advantage of the draft positioning. Like, we talked about being a 9-7, 10-6 team last year. How is the expectation not a playoff team this year? Well, 10-6 and up. How's that not the expectation?
How are you going to –
not doable? Why is it not doable when that was the expectation last year with less talent?
This is my thing, is that I look at people to get to 2 points of what you just said. First point, well, if you say that we lost 10 of the 12 games by an average of 8 points.
Which the only two games, point conversion.
The only 2 games we were essentially really blown out were the 2 Yams games. Okay.
No, one of them. Well, one of them.
The one at home wasn't even close.
And like 16, maybe 17 points, kind of a thing. So kind of close. Maybe we got smoked by the Seahawks in the first one. I think
that was the one. Yeah, that was the one.
One of the Rams games we only lost by like 16 or 17. There might be a little bit of garbage time involved. Whatever. I don't care.
I believe that was the last one because Kittle scored to make it a little bit more when he broke the record.
Right. So I think that's part of the equation of 10 of the 12. That one does count.
But so to me, if you say that a team lost games by 8 points or less, and you say they were second worst in the league in turnovers, I'm kind of drawing a conclusion. I'm drawing a conclusion between those two. Oh, so you're losing close games. Well, what does close games generally come down to? A lot of times, turnover. There you go. So they knock out the turnovers.
And that's what's less talent. Let's not act like the 49ers weren't one of the best teams as far as free agency goes. And please, let's not get into the free agency champions kind of.
And the second point I would go to people is I would say, look, to me, a great argument to going in the right direction is pull up the Arizona Cardinal game, the home game. We played them last year, where it was the 5 turnovers. 5 turnovers did us in. Look at every statistic on that in that box score. Go ahead right now. Go pull up the, not literally you, but, just go ahead and pull it up right now. Look at every statistic. If I told you all those statistics, you'd think the Niners would have won by 10, lost by 10. So what did that game get decided? I was there in person. I watched the game. I was at Levi's. It was 5 turnovers. There you go.
It's almost like we low-key found a way to squeak out a loss.
Yeah, we really did. We really did. There were games that it really felt like I walked away saying we didn't get beat, we lost.
Right. And
we lost ourselves that game.
I hate to be that conspiracy theory guy, but everybody's like, oh, it's the NFL, teams don't really tank like that. I'm like, I understand you can't just blatantly be Captain Obvious tanker, but you find little small ways, maybe a couple of the activations of players or a few certain phone calls. Phone calls. Play calls.
You got to be a coach to coder. So we're trying to give young guys a chance.
Right, and certain play calls. Maybe you were like, hey, I was trying to get them to develop in this certain area. I was trying to give them an opportunity to do this.
When we went into last year, when we went into the last little stretch of, I want to say about 4 or 5 games, I remember doing a show with you. I remember us doing a show, and I said, hey, I think we can get in a little bit of a winning streak here. We got these home games coming up, things like that. And I said, I don't want us to take we came out and we said, our goal is to get the highest pick possible. That was our goal. I said, what I thought was going to happen and what did happen in the wins that we got was that you're going to try younger players to develop our younger players. I have no problem with that in a season like last year.
It's a smart thing to do.
Lo and behold, what happened? Those players, those young guys you're developing, made plays, i.e., Richie James in the Chicago game.
Experience.
You know DJ Reed coming up and making a couple.
Jones, Elijah Lee.
Elijah Lee, good call. Elijah Lee. So what I'm saying is that to me that's the best of both worlds. To me that's not tank, because you're going out there and you're wanting these players obviously to make plays because you're wanting them to develop and be good players.
Right.
So to me that's not tanking. That's more. I don't want to. To me that's more.
Making the most of the
I'll put you this way: the coaches may assume.
You're taking advantage of the situation, essentially. You're taking advantage.
Yeah.
Because if playoffs were on the line, then maybe obviously those guys don't have an opportunity.
I don't think that coaches don't prepare to lose. Coaches don't coach to lose.
Yeah.
But I think that coaches are realistic. So, when Shanahan, for example, had to put DJ Reed at free safety, did he think he was going to be, oh my God, we found the next starter and free safety isn't, an issue anymore? No. But he said, hey, is he going to be able to make some plays? Are we going to be putting him in a position to make some plays? Yeah. And was he expected to make those plays? Sure. Doesn't mean he's always going to do it.
Yeah.
And so, what I get back to with Dante, another reason to give hope is Dante Pettis. Is a lot of times people looked at he was hurt. A, Shanahan himself spoke about it. And B, rookies, receivers are notorious for taking longer to develop. Now, I'm not comparing him to this person because as soon as I see this, everybody will know that this is never going to happen. And I'm definitely not comparing him to the greatest football player to ever live. But look at Jerry Rice. It was notorious. Jerry won the rookie of the year, but that was because of his second half of the year. Jerry was dropping everything.
Yeah.
They were actually there were people floating around calling him a bust. The papers were calling him out.
I watched his Football Life on NFL Network last week. Yeah. And, that was a good refreshment. And as you brought up, though, part of the reason why, they brought up on the actual TV show, whatever, that it was a lot of thinking because of scheme. And once again, young guy at a Mississippi State, you know what I mean? Lack of competition, lack of scheme. I'm sure, golly, how diverse could it have been in 19?
Get the ball to Jerry.
What year was it? 80 or 81, 82?
He was 88, and he was 88 in college.
No, not number. I'm sorry. Oh. Year. What year was he drafted? 81?
Oh, 85.
85? Sorry. Yeah. My old school 49ers knowledge is that great. Point is, things were not that diverse. You go to Bill Walsh's system. You make this from Mississippi State to a Bill Walsh offense. No surprise.
Yeah, and people don't understand.
Inside his mind. And guess what? When you get the scheme part down, shout out Jimmy Garoppolo. Hey, I understand the season didn't go the way we wanted to, but at least he was able to use that time, talk about Mike Shanahan and all that, to get the system down. So he should be able to go out there next year, thought-free, hopefully, and just sling it. Back on point when Jerry Rice started to take away from you. Dante Pettis.
But so that's my
possible rookie season if you take away those two knee injuries, because Rice wasn't hurt. It was just part of literally physical play.
Yeah, and pressure. You
can argue Dante Pettis.
My thing about this is
Jerry Rice did. Sorry, go ahead.
Also, to give Jerry credit, he was coming into the Niners who had just won their second championship, and he was surrounded by Ronnie Lott and Joe Montana and Roger Craig, and so
never mind football. What about San Francisco City life?
Oh, he's talked a lot about how to adjusting from the South in the 1980s to California was a big adjustment to him.
The way he talked to everything else. It was
just everything. And so my whole thing about it is that I'm obviously not saying Dante Pettis is going to be Jerry Rice. Please do not take that out of here. Nobody will ever be Jerry. Okay. But to me, I think the Niners are going to be a Patriot-esque type team. And when I say that is, I think we'll have some stars. So I'll put it to you in this way, is that, we'll go Patriots, Tom Brady, okay, Jimmy G, cool. You have Gronk, George Kittle, right? A series of running backs. Okay.
What we're gonna do.
A series of running backs like they have, right? And then maybe
go ahead.
Not so much size or stature or things like that, but a Dante Pettis as a Julian Edelman. But you see the comparison.
I think what you're saying,
solid offensive line.
What I say is utilizing the personnel to the fullest without not having big time star power. Even though let's just say prime Rob Gronkowski. God, I don't think George Kittle is at a prime Rob Gronkowski.
No, George Kittle has nowhere near peak.
I'm kind of saying, well, like that's essentially the biggest part of the offense, and everybody else is pretty much a great contributor. And I think you're making the point of can Dante Pettis be that Julian Edelman?
A solid receiver
player as that type of deal. It sounds like it's, but I still think we're still in agreement. You're talking about there might be multiple stars in offense. I think
but you pick and choose where your stars are.
Right. And that's the part of me that's just like, once again, how do you feel about who do you think the number 3 wide receiver is right now? And I don't think it really matters, but how strong do you feel about Kendrick Bourne / Jordan Matthews / Trent Taylor as a number 3? And I keep going over and over in my head, and that's when the NFL draft gets involved. I'm like, what happens if you add a more of a dynamic kind of number 3 guy next to Goodwin and Pettis to go along with everything else? And then the other part of me is like, hey, maybe you won't even take a wide receiver high. I mean, I just do not know what to expect, honestly speaking. Like everything, I wouldn't be shocked if another tight end and maybe you start running a little more 2 tight end sets like the Patriots did at one point and take advantage of further personnel. I don't think that's going to happen, especially when we have juice and we use a lot of obviously 2 backfields.
You can flex Juice out as a tight end. You can flex Juice out as a tight end, and
exactly. That's why I don't tight end because essentially Juice is your number 3 tight end as well. Now, can you number 2? Yes, but how often do we run 2 tight end sets? Not a big amount.
But so, well, my thing about this is how I see this year. Now, this is before the draft. Well, we said we're going to get into it. We'll do this position breakdown. We'll get into a little bit more maybe next week. But how many receivers do you have making the 53? And
right now,
who are you?
I think I'm just at 6, which is Pettis, Goodwin, Taylor, KB, Jordan Matthews, and Richie James. But that's before the draft. Like, in my opinion, the 49ers will take a wide receiver within the first 4 rounds as well in the draft. But
I do too.
I think they are. Though. I think they are. I think they like everybody. They like the potential, but I think it's a case of: are you not going to bring in competition and see maybe, or you're not going to try to add a piece that can make it like once? That's a crazy part. Do we try to win some games too? Now that the defense will be better, do we try to go balls out in the NFL draft and maybe landing an impact wide receiver that can push for the number 2 spot, if not be the number 3, and really give the other NFL teams some scare and give them something to literally have to have on the back of their minds or really overly prepare for, because with all the rest of the surrounding cast, honestly speaking, like you had a legit impact top 3 wide receiver into the offense and you bump everybody else down from Bourne to everybody else. I mean, doesn't that sound like a scary ass offense going into year 3 and everybody's kind of familiar with the scheme?
Exactly. Well, you and me, I'm not shy about my affinity for KB. You know, I've came out and personally adding a pre-draft. I don't disagree with your 6 receivers. I think it's going to be hard. I think we're going to keep about 5 or 6. You know,
for the season or. I think we're actually gonna. I think there's a possibility, depending on how high the 49ers draft somebody, that we could easily end up carrying 7 wide receivers. In my opinion, I'm not saying it's going to be a sure thing, but let's just. What do you do then? Do you possibly end up cutting Jordan Matthews? Do you end up trading Taylor, something like that? Maybe it's also a scenario of 2. We either at one point, because of injuries, we carried 7 wide receivers last year for multiple games, if I'm not mistaken. I remember because we had Bolden activated, and there was a little something else kind of going on. But I'm just saying,
Dunbar. Well, let's not forget Dr. Dunbar.
It goes back to two. People are saying no because what happens if we do carry 4 running backs, and then we choose.
I don't think we're going to carry 4 running backs.
Also, be your number 3 tight end, so you don't necessarily like 5 sounds like a lot with a fullback, but I'm saying he's also your number 3 tight end. So he has a little more versatility to your 53, I should say. But I still don't think it's – I know everybody wants to see it, and I think there's a chance that can happen, especially if you're using Jet and Coleman out of wide receiver sets as well. I'm still not 100% sure we're going to go ahead and keep all 3 guys. I still think there's a possibility that Breida or Jet could eventually – I don't care if it happens before the 53-man cut date. I still think there's a chance that one of them can get the boot. Have you changed your opinion about that at all?
No. I think what they want, ideally, I think we're going to keep, the 3. No, I don't think we're going to keep all 4. I think what they want to do, is they want to see who's healthy going into the training camp.
Well,
I don't think they want to get snake bit. I don't think they want to get snake bit like they did last year where, we're set, we're cool. And then all of a sudden Jet goes down and, oh, shit, we're fucked.
I mean, Coleman is healthy. Breida's recovered from his ankle injury. And I'm guessing, honestly speaking, I haven't actually heard anything about Raheem Mostert and his forearm injury, but it's a forearm injury.
I'm assuming everything will be fine.
Jet is the only legit question mark right now.
Yeah, we've been saying that. We've been saying about how, thinking that everybody's going to walk back from an ACL and everything's okay. And you and me have been on the fact that McKinnon we both feel that Jimmy G. Cool is going to be fine.
The only positive I can take with McKinnon is it was a non-contact ACL tear. It was literally him making an air cut. And
you know what I think that is?
Play of practice.
And this is, to get back to the trade, I think this is what started the process of Wright being gone, Wright, as our head trainer, was I think the injury is more significant than a high calf injury.
What do you mean?
If you recall, I believe they were calling it a low calf or high calf injury that kept him out of the preseason.
On Jet?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it was a knee issue. And they thought the rest and everything would be fine. I have nothing to confirm that.
Here's what I'll go. Are we really going to say the 49ers were that dumb to the point that they didn't give him an MRI at that point? I'm pretty sure they gave him an MRI, but I'm pretty knowledgeable when it comes to the human body. And I'm not going to say I'm an expert. I'm not a damn doctor. Sometimes your body can try to compensate so much by not putting certain stress on a certain area that unfortunately, I don't know if it's partially with a combination of going a little too hard while trying to compensate and not put too much stress on an area. But guess what? Then you're leaving another area possibly vulnerable. So maybe what I'm getting with that is he tried to maybe avoid putting too much stress. I know that sounds crazy, putting so much stress on his calf. Or it was the matter of he let it rest too much. He rested up, but he didn't take the proper protocol to kind of ease and work back into it. I think
that's just simply speculation. Like I said, I have no facts and nothing to back up.
What I'm getting at is I'm sure they didn't hey, it could be an injury, but we're not.
I'm not saying they thought. Yeah. It's just a little suspicious to me. But I mean, to me, I think they don't want to get screwed, and I think they want to wait as long as possible, or for the right deal. I think that's what
I mean, what do you think about literally, let's just say, if you're an NFL team, are you trading for Jet McKinnon? Not that his contract is outrageous because you can get out of it, and the 49ers have already paid the majority of all his guaranteed money. But here's what I can see happening. If you're an NFL team, right, the answer is probably no at the moment, right? But what happens if fast forward preseason, he's balling out of control? And then your NFL team, I don't know if you have an injury at the running back spot or you're like, what? Damn, Jet McKinnon will be a great 1-2 punch with the guy we already have. He's been looking great in preseason. Now is the time. And you get back a little asset. I don't give a damn if it's a 2026 round pick. I'm just not sure. You know what I mean? It could be anything. It could be a 2021 7th for our. I'm not saying for all I care, but that's what it could end up being. But point is, I don't think it's a lock, and see what happens.
Yeah. So where I think the roster crunch to get to the receivers, I think where the roster crunch is going to get into is I think it's going to be if Richie James can hold on to the football, I think Trent Taylor's gone. Now I like Trent Taylor.
Unpopular opinion. I know. I feel the same. I don't feel the same exact way, but I definitely more than understand exactly where you're coming from because it's just a tough situation. Because once again, let's just act like he's going balls to the wall now. He's fully recovered from his back injury and that whole runaround. He pretty much is the kind of guy that, like, hey, does Shanahan want somebody like this around? Once again, what happens to Trent Taylor? For all I care about, Trent Taylor can be the number 6 wide receiver. You know what I'm saying? But is he maybe the guy that Shanahan's like, I love Trent too much because I know in a particular gotta have it. Maybe we go 5 wide receivers on. I gotta have it. First down, right? Third down. Yeah. Third down, it's a gotta have it. We're going 5 wide receivers on this one. You know, time is running low, yada yada. Trent Taylor, I trust him. I really do trust him to make it. And that's the thing. Like, everybody offers a little, like, literally, Bourne, Matthews, Richie James, Trent Taylor. They all offer a little something different. And that's what makes it, like, I just think about it in my head. I'm like, Kendrick Bourne, man. I mean, we've seen him, like, a big body that you can use at the slot. You can use him outside. He has pretty nice wiggle for having a little lack of explosiveness compared to the other guys who run a 4.3 and 4.4.
Yeah. Kendrick Bourne's not out there because he's a Blazer.
He's KB's only 24. I was looking. I put out a tweet out the other day with birthdays. Essentially, if you take out Jordan Matthews out of it, and I forgot how old he is now. I want to say too he's only like 26, 27, but I could be wrong.
I think I read somewhere 27.
But everybody else is essentially under 25 years old. I remember, except Marquise Goodwin. If you take him out, I mean, yeah, you get what I'm saying.
I agree with you, but I think that I want Richie James and I want Trent Taylor on the team.
You know what I asked myself? Can Richie James be a Taylor Gabriel? And I don't know if he can. I don't even remember Richie James' exact speed. I want to say he's like a high 4.4 kind of guy. I don't know if he has, like, pretty much. I'm not like doubting his ability, but does Shanny kind of see him as a Taylor Gabriel? Where I'm kind of getting with that is, like, I can see the 49ers getting a big body type, and I could also see them getting like that smaller, shake and bake, super crazy explosiveness kind of Taylor Gabriel to go with the Dante Pettis or Marquise Goodwin. You know what I'm saying? So they can go. They can go in different directions. They could just straight up play the value game. They're like, hey, we're not taking the first, we're not taking the second. We'll see what's there in the third, and we'll take it from there.
This is my thing is I think everybody's so used to number 1, number 2, number 3. You know, I almost see us going with roles. I think I see us going with roles, and so I think that we're going to look at it like this. I think that what it's going to boil down to and how they're going to make the roster decisions is who has the most roles we can use them in. Obviously, Dante Pettis can play X, can play Y, can play Z. You know, but you see what I'm saying? Is who can offer us the most versatility. Now,
here's the thing. I think Marquise Goodwin and Dante Pettis definitely have it in them to play the slot role in certain personnel groupings.
Yeah.
The other one can play the X, for example. I mean, do we take? I think what we can agree about, we're not just going to take somebody who's only going to be just a pure slot receiver in this draft. No. Right now. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, Trent Taylor is not an outside kind of guy, so let's just say that. So we're not going to expect to take like a pure slot guy. It's definitely going to be someone that, once again, offers versatility as well to be able to play inside and out. Once again, say I need a wide receiver better than the other 4 guys that we were talking about.
Exactly, and this is my thing about it is that I think some people get so caught up in the 53, but they don't realize how much the 46 plays a role in the 53.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, guys like Jimmy Ward is a perfect example of that. You know what I mean? Can play, has strong safety ability, more so in nickel. I really don't want him banging around in base, but obviously free safety, slot, has outside versatility as well. So that's a guy that literally he can count as 4 guys if you really want him to.
You know, Raheem Mostert's going to be active because, you know, he's going to bring that emergency running back / special team ace.
Yeah.
You know, so Tevin Coleman didn't come here he didn't sign here to be deactivated and only brought in if somebody was an injury. So that's 2 right there. So then you're basically, to me, you're blowing down between Breida and Jet.
And that's the thing, too. Jet McKinnon and Tevin Coleman kind of have some slot ability to them. So that's another reason right there. I don't expect the 49ers to draft like more of a pure slot guy is probably the better term. But, man, I mean, see, it's a good wide receiver class. That's what I keep going back to. Like, just like the cornerback group. So I hear some people talking cornerback, and I'm like, I'm not saying they're crazy, but I think there's a lot of potential there where you can kind of afford to kind of wait this year out and see how everything shakes out. Once again, out of Verrett and Colbert, the other person is going to be your first one off the bench, and that makes me feel solid. I believe in both guys' ability. We all know you can't necessarily count on Verrett, and I'm more than cool with that because I'm pulling for Kello to take the job and run away with it all the way. We drafted him. He has the goods. Once again, let's see with the improved personnel. But because the wide receiver group is strong in the NFL draft, that's what makes me hesitant on like Shanahan being like, you know what, we'll go ahead and roll with what we got and we'll reconsider possibly next year. I don't do that because the class is too good.
Yeah, no, we can't. I think. Because what you're thinking about is I think what they're going to essentially look at is, do I like somebody in next year's draft more than I like somebody in this year's draft?
God,
you know what I'm saying? And that's what it's going to boil down to.
And is it going to be
5 picks? You got 5 picks.
And it's not a decent. It's not like, hey, are we going to be able to land this guy that's going to come out next year?
Yeah, exactly.
And give yourself a realistic view.
Let's just say 3 guys. You know, are there 3 guys that we like next year that, you know, what I'm saying is I just keep on throwing this name because in mock drafts, this is just a name I keep on seeing to us.
Deebo Samuel.
Samuel or A.J. Brown.
A.J. Brown. So, people are talking about
essentially, the way I'm looking at it is, do we like somebody in next year, a couple people more in next year's draft, or even one particular person in next year's draft? And this is why is that everybody kind of talks about the Shanahan not getting running backs in the first round. He'll always, you know, wait and free agents and all that. I almost feel like he's like that with receivers too. I almost feel that because, look, if Julio Jones is available in the draft, I mean, anybody's going to not be stupid. But if he feels he can get just that, maybe the talent level is that much difference between, let's say, A.J. Brown and some dude we can pick up in the 5th round. You know what I'm saying?
Or it could be the matter of, all right, how good is A.J. Brown going to do this year, kind of like compared to, once again, like a Kendrick Bourne. Like, you stack those guys up against each other right now, and you don't know their names. You know what I mean? Like, if you take out that equation, obviously Kendrick Bourne is older. I understand that part. Let's just say you take out the names, and you're like, you don't even know who these guys are. You just walk into a room, and you see them, like, running routes. You might think that Kendrick Brown, you might think that Kendrick Bourne is the better wide receiver and should go kind of higher. And honestly speaking, you know what my gut instinct is right now? If on top of my head, and I could be wrong about this, I think Jordan Matthews only has a $200,000. I'm sorry. I was going to say something along the lines of where essentially if you cut him, I think like you're only taking $200,000 in dead money if I'm not mistaken. But I could easily
look that up.
But you know what I could see happening is, you know what? I don't want to get rid of Kendrick Bourne, Trent Taylor, Richie James. I really want to see how they're going to come along this year and how productive they're going to be when I put them in the situations. They're too early to give up on them. So I could see us like edge. I want to take offensive line in a second, but obviously that can go multiple ways. I can also see for the 3rd round pick trading back into the 2nd kind of like a little bit with Dante Pettis last year, where we ended up trading up a little bit too. So I can see being edge offensive line. Then you trade up with a 3rd round pick back into the 2nd at a certain area, take a wide receiver, and then ultimately Jordan Matthews is the one that gets the boot before the 53-man cuts, or he gets traded.
I think that ideally that's how they see it coming.
I mean, it sounds good for us. I mean, if you're going to build something for the future, and once again, I mean, Jordan Matthews got cut last year by the Patriots, and I think that they brought him in after too. That Josh Gordon ended up retiring, if I'm not mistaken. He ended up getting cut eventually. So we're all, I mean, it was a low risk, high reward signing. We talked about that from day one. You know, Jordan Matthews wasn't a guy. This isn't the Chip Kelly era where you bring in Jordan Matthews, you're like, yes, we got a number 1 wide receiver. You know, like it's none of that type of situation.
Jordan Matthews to me is a security blanket.
Extra insurance. I'm all about the insurance game. You know, I might not about it in real life. But I love me some insurance.
Because what if he balls out? What if he has 4 touchdowns in the preseason, 3 touchdowns in the preseason?
He's just, he's sucking up everything like a vacuum. You know what I mean? Dude, he's motivated. You don't think if your uncle is Jerry Rice, play for the 49ers, you're not gonna go that much more harder to literally make the team.
Yeah.
B, you don't give yourself opportunity when you're going to be in them for 3 or 4 wide receiver sets.
How do you feel about him taking T.O.'s 81?
Dude, I tweeted this out like yesterday. For some reason, I don't know, I got lost in the sauce or whatever, or he picked the number late. I thought they were literally going to wait until they retired T.O.'s number, and then maybe he was going to be able to take it. But apparently he did choose it, and my bad on that one. But I feel okay. I mean, it's the –
I thought, because Jed Yorker came out and said that he's not too keen on, drafting retiring numbers. But I thought with Trent Taylor switching to 15, I thought, okay, they probably told Trent, hey, we're going to retire 81.
Right, something along those lines. Or you got to wait, something like that.
No, because the only 3 I see coming up, I mean, look, I love BY and all that, but I don't think it's going to happen. The only 3 I see coming up is 81, 21, and 52.
I mean,
52. Patrick Willis might be a stretch to be retired. It might be I think that's going to be one that they kind of just don't assign.
See, in my opinion is I feel like they should retire him because honestly speaking, are we really going to sit here as fans and really worry about that somebody is not able to take as cool of a number as a different kind of number? Like I was sitting here talking about, hey, I think 52 would look better on this guy. So
no, I'm not worried about that, bro.
Same thing with 81, same thing with 90. Honestly speaking, though, Terrell Owens, I totally agree. I think the 49ers are going way further and beyond than they need to.
Yeah.
Of what they're doing for I don't even know why. Like, I'm not saying like why he's not deserving of it. Let's not get that twisted. It's just like the way that all like I'm all about forgiving and moving on.
Yeah.
But it'll still always stick with me the way he kind of ditched us and the way he went about it. And it's not necessarily a real grudge, but like, going obviously playing for the Eagles and playing for the Cowboys.
That's the one that kind of irked me a little bit. That kind of just like,
there's the Ken Nortons and Haley's and Sanders's that kind of do the same deal.
Well, Ken Norton was vice versa. He played for the Cry Girls than us.
Well, going far and beyond. Sorry about that. Going further far and beyond than they need to, but no retiring ever. I think that's perfectly good.
I think it was just funny because, what's one of T.O.'s most famous moments as a Niner? Like, we all know. Exactly. So, I mean, how could you be, because, I mean, as I've told the story, it was not disrespect. I've told the story about how he was told, give glory to God, and, all that. And that's why he's looking in the sky. He's not looking at the Cowboys.
Whatever, you get sports, you get caught up.
But the second time, the second time was that was personal. So to me, when you do something that's so, you can almost say that kind of reunited the rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it had kind of died down. It wasn't quite what it was, but that had kind of brought out that hatred back. That bruh, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so It was just old school, and it was still in what I want to say it was like 2001, 2002. So it had only been not too long after, the whole going through the 90s and whatnot.
Yeah.
So honestly, personally, I think that the 81, I think, will be taken out of commission, if ever. Yeah. I don't think. I think it will eventually.
It will. Why do they do it right now? Then, as they're about to do the whole ceremony.
I don't know. But to me, I think if we're going to talk retirement jerseys, ideally
2152.
I don't think Patrick Willis will get it because I think it's going to take. I think eventually it'll happen, but it's going to take a while for Patrick Willis to get in the Hall of Fame.
I think the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and that's generally.
Maybe the 49ers are going to wait till he retires his number after he gets in the Hall of Fame.
Well, that's generally how we do it. That's generally how we do it.
Got it.
Because the only player that's not inducted in the Hall of Fame that's jersey retired is Dwight, which is there's obvious reasons why his jersey is retired.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, yeah.
So I think, but like Frank Gore, regardless of Frank Gore is a first ballot Hall of Famer, but regardless of Hall of Fame or anything like Frank Gore is different. Like that's to me, that's you're talking about the heart and soul of the team right there. So, but I think we're about good for this week.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. We'll go ahead, and it's almost that time, y'all. But before we get out of here, I got to pull up my outro. Let me see. It's almost that time. Remind me, use the promo code DIEHARD. 2 words, DIEHARD, for 20% at Niner Faithful Radio Shop. If you're listening,
space in between there though, no space.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, there is. There's a space. It's die space hard.
Okay.
And then if you're listening to this as a podcast, please subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, and Blueberry, as well as YouTube, if you would like. And give us a 5-star review. It would really help the show. Thank y'all so much. We hope that y'all have a blessed week. See y'all next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Till then, faith, love, and happiness. Go Niners.
Take care, y'all.
See y'all.